Well, here we are, 3 months into 2019, and if you haven't noticed, there's been a lot of game releases, and I mean a lot of game releases. So I wouldn't be surprised if this next game flew under your radar. But today, we reflect on a game both Justin and I really anticipated from February, Metro Exodus. Now, Metro Exodus is actually the latest installment in the FPS series that follows a series of books written by Dmitry Glukhovsky. The books, simply titled Metro 2033 and so on, follow our main character Artyom and his post-nuclear Holocaust life living in the metros of Moscow, hence the name Metro. This installment in the series, however, has us venture off into the world with a crew, a train, and a glimmer of desperate hope. I wanted to talk about this before we dive in, simply because this is a story-based single-player survival shooter, and if that's not what you're looking for, this game may not be for you. But if you're like me and a good story is what drives games home, then this totally delivers. Now that you have an idea of what the game entails, let's move on. I'm going to be doing this review similar to our Resident Evil 2 review, and just ask some questions that we all ask ourselves while playing. Fair warning though, there may be a bit of spoilers. Now the first thing that every gamer notices in a game is the visuals, and Metro Exodus definitely gives you something special to look at. Probably one of the most noticeable improvements from the previous games in the series is the extensive work put into the new textures and advanced lighting effects in the game. I mean, holy shit, is this game just beautiful when you get down to the last detail. It's really impressive that the game is not only larger in scope than the previous installments, spanning multiple different areas that have their own unique weather biomes, but that they've spent massive amounts of time to keep the highest quality detail in everything you can explore. The environments are so radically different from each other, each time you progress, you get a new sense of awe. The facial animations are an exciting improvement, and while the English voice acting doesn't always line up with some of the actions, it isn't something to ignore, and it draws in a sense of realism that allows you to immerse yourself in this beautiful world and story that the devs over at Deep Silver have built. Now you can say that it gets a bit tired looking at times and the areas don't feel as fresh after you've explored them for a while, but the fact that you always get a new season to explore ultimately saves it from being visually mundane, although not completely avoiding it. I do want to touch on that. Well, as you might have assumed by now, a game that derives its story from a book is probably an awesome experience, right? Well, give yourself a cookie because the story is incredible. Justin and I found this to be the best thing about the previous games and found that Metro Exodus took it to a whole new level. There's a less linear feeling than in the previous installments, thanks to the new open world areas, but I want to share a story from Justin's experience that is hilarious and also the best example of how Metro pushes character development and storytelling into every inch of its explorable areas. So while Justin was playing on the hardest difficulty, which disables your HUD by the way, Justin had found himself stuck in an endless cycle of dialogue, not realizing he was supposed to activate the map to push the game into the next area. The dialogue continued for a total of an hour before Justin said, "Wow, this is amazing, but I doubt they'd keep me here for this long," and moved on.
Had you not launched those missiles, you'd probably never have climbed that building or received that
I also personally sat down with Olga, and she gave me a new recording to explore as a reward for listening to her for a while. It is this kind of patience from the player that is rewarded with amazing character stories, and is what the developer intended. If you really sit down and talk to a character, you become more attached learning about what each of your crew members is experiencing, you care for them more, which is important because there is a karma system, and if you're not careful, you may lose one of them. The game's story changes based on your decisions in each new area you get to. It feels very personal because you get a story that was created by your decisions, and if you don't like the results, you have only yourself to blame. All good things aside, there was something to be left desired in each of the outcomes of the story. Unintentionally, Justin and I did not get the same ending. He received the bad ending in which, spoilers, you die, and I got the good ending in which, spoilers, you live of course. Regardless of ending, the game still comes to one last desperate crawl, in which it feels really climactic as a rescue, but not entirely rewarding with its results. There was no big bad to battle or destroy, and this is totally different from the other two games in the series, in which you do have an enemy to destroy or battle. It is replaced by a rescue mission, and sure, you save the crew member, but you lose so much more, and in the end you're left feeling a little bit disappointed, like you wish you could see the results of all your sacrifices along the way pan out. Justin and I respect the decision to have an ending like this, but hope that they can show us sometime in the future the world that was built by our actions. Maybe? Please, Deep Silver? Dmitry? Probably not. We believe a good story always leaves you wanting more, though. Now, I wanted to start off by saying the decision you make on which difficulty you play on is a very important one. Do you want to crawl through the game and have time to invest into being careful, as well as take time to find necessary resources and items before starting the fight? If not, the difficulty Ranger Hardcore may not be for you, but Justin and I tend to lean on this side of the difficulty for a true survival experience. However, I found that normal offered me plenty of challenges when I played through on my first playthrough, because I died a whole lot. Like, probably too much. Difficulty aside, the game has added some really great mechanics to the already pretty decent shooter. The aiming and movement feels so much better than in the previous installments, and I found the controls on console to be really well mapped, and the aiming of course to be better on PC. However, in some tight spaces on both, the characters and movements get a little bit wiggly, and you can get caught on an object during some crucial moments. The game also favors sneak over the run and gun aspect of most other shooters, which accentuates the survival aspect of it. Speaking of which, the backpack was a much needed addition that was beyond useful considering how few places there are to craft in the hub-like levels. Which leads me to a point about cleaning your gun. It feels a little bit tedious because you can't do this in your backpack. You have to go to the crafting station, and like I said, there's not too many of those. So why does this matter, you ask? It matters because the damage drop-off of your gun and the stability of it when your gun is dirty is horrendous. The difference between 2 bullets and 8 bullets is up to you, and you have to manage it constantly. Lastly, on a positive side of things, the karma system gets a little bit more use this time around and directly impacts how you want to play your game. Make smart decisions and get smart outcomes. We're just going to leave it at that. Well, we've done a lot of talking thus far, but what does that all result in? A damn good game in our humble opinion. Sure, it's not perfect, and the idea of a post-apocalyptic shooter is more than played out, but Metro Exodus still deserves your time despite this. We give Metro Exodus an 8 out of 10, and Justin is boldly claiming it's his game of the year. We shaved off a couple of points because it is a little bit clunky in movement, and it's a bit tedious at times with the gun cleaning, the crafting, and the monitoring of your supplies. We also think that forcing everyone to use the pressure gun as your third gun was a bad choice. Lastly, we both encountered an issue in which we both explored the map and killed bandits or even knocked them out. If we revisited that area on a mission, the enemies were still dead or just lying there, so we just walked in and out of some areas that we explored earlier. Good problem or bad problem, I'm not sure, but it ruins some of the story when you steal a train from a bunch of dead bodies. Overall though, this game is still a great experience, and if you want a story survival shooter, this is your game. Please play it. But that is all we have, so be sure to subscribe to the channel and show your support by dropping a like, and hit that bell notification to stay updated on all the series we work on here at The Shed. Danger Zone Durs, signing off.